Workers' Day, the 1st of May, is on a Saturday, so you don't get any bonus there at all. Isn't that terrible? Don't you think that's awful, Sia?
Yeah, you can't celebrate it the day before.
No. It's very unfair, right? So what do you do?
I don't
I
know
know.
what the workers do on that day.
Horrible. What do the workers do? What will the workers do is what the question is. How was your long weekend? How did you get on? Have fun?
Oh, I was longing and I was weekending. It was a real
Nice.
good one. Yes.
Spent some time with the family?
A lot of time. I'm back in Durban now. So I'm going to spend a couple of days here. And it's always fun to be around family in a time like this. And especially, now I'm living through my nieces and my nephew, basically. And they get
Yeah.
excited about everything. And, everything is an occasion to them. So they get the Easter eggs and they get this and then they get the sugar high. And I even just remembered how much I miss the small things, like seeing them yesterday when they were packing for school today. And I'm like, all right, you have homework and stuff to do.
That's cute, man.
Yeah.
It's very sweet. Hey, Leigh-Ann Mole. Is she there? Can she hear us?
Oh.
Leigh-Ann Mole. Come in, Leigh-Ann Mole. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Delta Bravo.
I am.
There she is. Hello, how are you?
Kom in asseblief. I am here. I have very slow Wi-Fi. I'm about to,
oh, no.
I don't know, kick, punch them, break with my teeth. Frustrations.
Oh, no.
It doesn't sound like the kind of thing you should do to start your Tuesday morning. I mean, what would you look like without teeth?
Yeah, I know. Like now, there's a delay.
No, I'm sorry. That's so irritating.
Oh, sure.
Yes, that's the only thing differentiating me between me and a meth addict.
Don't go down that road.
You brought that up. What a horrible thing to start your day with. Poor Leigh-Ann. She's having internet issues, and then she has to be called a meth addict by me. What a cruel world. What a horrible, horrible place for her to find herself.
How was your weekend?
I had a very good weekend while Leigh-Ann sorts out her connection. I had a really nice weekend. I flew down to Durban on Thursday after the show, and I was in Umhlanga. I hate when people say Umhlanga. I was in Umhlanga for like 3 nights, and I had such a good time. I was just relaxed. I went down to the beach on the Friday, obviously the holiday, Good Friday. And I was in the sea for, when I go to the beach, I don't sit and lie in the sun, though I did do that. And I was in the sea, which is my favorite thing in the world. I think it's like the best therapy that there is, because you come out of that salt water and you just feel invigorated and full of life. And I mean, if you get in properly, it can clean out your whole like body. That's why it's a kind of muti, I suppose. That's why people collect seawater, and it's an emetic, so you don't want to drink too much of it. But if it goes into the nose and the mouth, it can clear out everything. I mean, you feel healthier when you get out of the sea. And I got a real like sunburn, which is also nice because I know that's very unhealthy. People are going to call me and they're going to say, "Oh, you must be careful of skin cancer, and you must put on sunblock." And I don't know. I kind of needed it. I feel like last year I didn't really, do any of the outdoor things that I wanted to do. So this felt very good. It felt very healthy. It felt very happy. And I saw some of my friends in Durban, which was nice. So it was really good. And then I got back on the plane on Sunday and came back for a family Easter, which was really cool. And as you say, you spend like Easter Sunday watching kids find Easter eggs, and it was really nice. It was very, very cool. Yeah.
This is your first flight in a year.
Yeah, because I drove down in September, and I did that trip to the game reserve in November. So I have driven, but this is the first flight I've taken since the weekend before lockdown, which was the last time I flew. And yeah, it's as you said, Sia, it's not difficult. It's actually kind of easy to do. and it doesn't feel like an effort. It doesn't feel like it's any more complicated. Only thing you have to do is wear a mask, So you wear that for the hour on the plane, and you eventually do want to burn that mask as soon as you get off the plane. But really, it's not that much of an issue, and it felt. I must tell you, in Umhlanga, and I didn't really leave there for the weekend because I didn't have a car there, and I didn't need to go outside of like walking distance. They've got that beautiful little promenade along the beach, and there's a nature reserve there, and all the shops that you could possibly want are within walking distance. And if you really need to go anywhere, you can Uber, which is what I did at night. But it was perfect. Hello, ass. It was perfect. Hi. It was such a nice break. That's much better. I don't know what you did to your connection, but if you bit it and kicked it like you said you did, it worked.
Shut up.
Yeah, I had a talking to it, yo.
It's amazing.
You better shape up, because I need a man.
I need a land.
And my heart is set on you.
Oh, my God. We're singing it this time, are we? So how your long weekend, Ass? What did you get up to?
I did family stuff, which was lovely. Oh, my gosh. I had a disastrous day in the kitchen.
Why?
I promised to make a side dish and a dessert. Yeah. Started off the day really well. Went and got my ingredients, had my shopping lists, did all of the right things, and got into the kitchen. And firstly, the dessert that I was making had 5 layers to it. Each layer needed me to use an electric beater, which I have. For the life of me, I couldn't find the 2 whiskey things that you put in, that you plug in.
Yeah.
Couldn't find those. So realized at that point that I was going to have to go to my brother's house to do this dessert.
Oh, no.
So I baked the first layer, which was actually a crumb base, and put that in the oven and let that cool, put it in the car. Started on the side dish. And do you know when you're making a white sauce or a cheese sauce or a milk sauce, it can sometimes split? Have you heard that?
Leigh-Ann, are you forgetting who you're talking to here? You think I know?
Very aware of your audience.
I've never heard of a milk sauce in my life.
Well, no, a milk-based sauce. But anyway, so please, someone will know what I'm talking about. But when the sauce splits, it basically looks like, this you guys will know because of your families, what baby sick looks like.
Oh, God.
So it kind of separates.
That's horrible. Why would you make such a thing?
No, man, it happened by mistake because my stove top was faulty and the temperature was going up and down.
You're faulty.
You guys are so fucking exhausting.
We've just started. It's a new week. You've had a couple of days to get rid of us. You didn't see us on Friday and we're already exhausting you.
You've had all of just 2 minutes with us, and this is all your fault. You're trying to explain food to us.
You take your medicine this morning, or did you wake up and rush?
The problem is I'm telling you a story about how irritated I was, and then you're irritating me more.
No, I can see it.
So I had to take half of the recipe in the car to my brother's.
What the split
milk sauce? No, I left that on the stove. There's no coming back from a split sauce. I had to go and buy more ingredients. Got to my brother's house and realized that this dessert I was making wasn't going to set in time. Opened the door and the table was set. They'd already had starters.
Oh no.
Without you?
And I still had to make the dish that was accompanying the main. Oh, Lord.
Let me ask you this. If Gordon Ramsay walked in on you with all of this that was going on, he would have been swearing from the moment he saw, like, you attempt to do all this. And you're not like us in the kitchen. You're quite ambitious. I mean, this dessert sounds amazing, by the way. If it had worked,
it's called sex in a pan, by the way.
Oh.
That sounds really good. Mind you, anything with sex at the moment sounds good, considering where we've all been for lockdown.
Gordon Ramsay would have lambasted me for not and not literally lamb basted, because he does that too. He would have said to me, how the F do you think you could have made this dish without having all the proper equipment? You know, when a sauce splits, you know, you've been making sauce for 20 years. How can you do this? So I felt like I was in the MasterChef kitchen, and that there were people in the galley looking down on me going, oh, her sauce split.
How embarrassing.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it was. But anyway, my brother to the rescue and managed to salvage things. My dad kept on saying, 5 more minutes, because we kept on saying it'll be ready in 5 more minutes. Yeah.
All that pressure, you see.
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure.
This is not something I understand, because whenever I cook something, cook. I say that in inverted commas, cook. I mean, like the little bits that I can do, it's never become that complicated that I needed to know this shit. And I admire people who can do this. I mean, it's like I admire a really good meal. So I went out on Friday night for a supper at a restaurant that I really enjoy. And it was just kind of average, which was upsetting to me as a non-foodie, because in my head I'd built up how nice this meal was going to be. And when I got there, it was just kind of average. It was, so I do appreciate these things. I'm not a complete Philistine, but it's very sad when you have an idea in your head of how something's going to turn out and then it doesn't. And I get that, especially like meat dishes, which Sia wouldn't understand at all. He doesn't eat meat. And when I order a steak, and I'm like, I've got it in my head that this is going to just be the best steak ever. And if it doesn't turn out to meet my expectations, I feel so let down. It's incredible for someone who doesn't care about food.
Yeah, but you know what? You've gone to a lot of effort. You've showered, you've got dressed, you've driven your car or taken an Uber.
Cleaned yourself up. Yeah, you got dressed in clothes. Yeah, it's hard. This is tough stuff.
You've used your petrol. You've fought to find a parking. You've had to see other people in order to get the steak, and you're going out in dangerous times of COVID. So yeah, you deserve to have what you really wanted.
Yeah. The only part of this that resonates with me when it comes to food is my cheapskate sister. She's the one who's on specific like Facebook groups about bargains and specials and
coupons and things, right?
Yes. So she was so excited yesterday, and I was trying to understand why. And she goes, just a few more days, just a few more days, just a few more days. I'm thinking, what? Until what? She goes, up until we can buy all the Easter eggs we want, because then they'll start getting cheap and they'll halve the price. And let me tell you about all of this meat will be going on special as well. And then she names the store that'll be doing this % off. And that I'm like, Easter eggs are not the same a week after the fact. She goes, no, still, I'm going to go there. I'm going to buy that. So
let me tell you, I can't eat any more. I can't eat any more chocolate now if you force fed it to me, because first of all, I saw that the kids got so spoiled. So we went to family friends on Sunday, and I kind of landed at the airport and went straight there. And the kids were busy with the Easter egg hunt, and they came back with a bag each with so much chocolate in it. And when you're a kid, you think you can keep that chocolate forever. I mean, it starts to melt, and it's just a disaster, right? But I walked in, and one of the little girls, I said to her, how many eggs have you got? And she went, 100 and 100. She was so excited about how many eggs she could was beside herself. And then there are eggs on the table, and people were just eating chocolate. Eventually on Sunday night, I went to sleep, and I felt like the fattest person in the universe. Horrible.
Too much, right?
Yeah, it was a big eating weekend. I actually, at one point, I out of like habit, because it was there, not habit, but it was just there. I took a block of chocolate from all the chocolate that had been handed over, and I put it in my mouth, and I just didn't feel like it, so I just spat it out.
You're
I was like, I don't know why I put that in my mouth. I really don't want it.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
Well,
Yeah.
we had it this family day. It was really cute because, my parents have been friends with these people. They're our oldest family friends. They kind of are like family. And then my brother and their son's kids are now friends as well. So we're 3 generations of the family. Like the old people were sitting at this table, we were all sitting at another table, and then the children were playing together around the pool. And I was like, this is quite special. 3 generations of kind of family spending time with each other and having the most fun. I mean, we laughed until we couldn't stop. I mean, until we stopped. We laughed until we stopped. It ended at like 4:30 in the afternoon when we just had to go home because it had been eating nonstop. And it's special, I suppose, at this time. And it's really not about how much chocolate you got to eat or how much of anything there was. And funny enough, I don't think any of us were drinking. Like, I think everybody was, which is very strange because usually at these sorts of events, you'd expect people to be drinking. But it's really cool that if nothing else, this last year has brought us, it's kind of realigned the priorities. And we all 3 spent more time with our families during lockdown than we have in any previous year. I think that's true for me, Sia, and Leigh-Ann. And if it's true for you as well, then something good came out of it. So let's be happy about that. I mean, there's so many things that we can moan about, but that's one of the things we should be pleased, about when we come to the tabulation of pluses and minuses for the year.
Yeah, it was a video that I watched a few months ago, and yes, it was a little too extreme maybe, but it also just hit home with me in a way something hasn't in a while. But it was a gentleman who was speaking about, if you think of life in reverse, you feel the urgency of things more than thinking of it as, oh yeah, I have 20 years to do X, but think of it backwards. And here's the example he used that really got me. He said, he was asking someone, how old are your parents? And this gentleman responded, said like they're 76 and 74 years old. And then he says, let's just say they live up until they're 80. So on average, about 5 more years. How often do you see them? And this gentleman says, I see them twice a year. So he says, don't think of it as 5 more years. Think of it as you're going to see your parents 10 more times.
Sure.
Now, I'm a hardcore bad mama jammer, but I want to just 10 more times. So now, even I'm thinking of just going and driving by my grand's house, just go, hey, hello.
That's so
9
important.
9 more left.
Just 9 more times. Hey, darling.
You're right. I certainly don't want to bring anybody down or make anybody feel shitty. But like a friend of mine did lose his dad in January, and we were all together 2 weekends ago. And he's in the greatest mood now because I think he's just starting to come through all that raw emotion. And he's being very funny because he just doesn't give a shit anymore. Like, once something like that has happened, you kind of tend to not worry about the small things so much. And so he's just, I mean, he is hilarious to be around because he's being very, very funny. The fact is, though, he said, just spend as much time with the people you love as possible because you can never get that back. And it's so true. And if we've had that opportunity during this situation that we're all in, then that's been good. That's a good reason to be grateful. And Sia's right. Like, count the number of times. I feel sorry for people whose kids live overseas, who immigrated, so that the family's not together. And if you're old, and by old, that's in your head, but anywhere from 60 to 90, if you feel like you are old and your kids are younger than you and they're overseas and you miss them, then I think that must be one of the toughest things to do, because you can't just hop in the car or get on the car train or book a flight for an hour. You can't see them. It's very, very difficult to do that. So just a word to those people who are missing that.
Yeah. I'm glad that you said. I'm glad that you said if your children, you've got children and they're younger than you. I'm glad you clarified that part.
It's worse. If your children are older than you, it's always very difficult for the rest of the family to figure that out. Yeah.
Oh, don't you hate that?
I mean if they're significantly younger. Or grandchildren. Eleutheria says, are those the same children that flooded the bathroom a few weeks ago? Exactly the same children, yes. That's them. Picheng says, ha ha ha, ach shame, Leigh-Ann, with your cooking.
All right.
And then Tracy
Thank
says,
you.
we spent a few days in the
Somebody
Karoo.
who can maybe identify.
Yeah, and Picheng at least understands you. Tracy says, I spent a few days in the Karoo. Man, oh man, that place feeds and energizes the soul. So much history there. If you ever need a proper break from it all, Prince Albert, been going there for 5 years. I've never been to those parts of the Karoo. The furthest I've been is the
my word.
Southern Free State and Robertson, Malmesbury, but I've never been into the Karoo properly, which is embarrassing because I really should have by now. It's really terrible, very lazy.
Well, obviously I lived in McGregor for a year, but I also used to visit Prince Albert. And the first time I went and got to our little cottage and opened the doors, I actually wept. It was just so...
Wow.
There's a feeling about it.
But you used to cry if the traffic lights were red on mornings.
These were happy tears.
Let's just understand.
Yeah, we're just going to put things
the same, Leigh-Ann.
Yeah.
No, it was just so beautiful. And, when you can hear nothing except an old windmill creaking over slowly. And the biggest decision you have to make is whether you want to drink red or white wine.
Oh, nice.
While you sit on the patio and have a long bath later in this beautiful bathroom. Oh, it's just brilliant for the soul.
I don't know why that's a little unnerving to me.
Nice,
yeah, it is for some it can be. It's so eerily quiet.
A lot of things are nerve-wracking to you, Sia. It would not surprise me. All right, so I want to read you a story quickly because this is a very short story that was in the newspaper in, I think, Ireland. A group of tourists spent hours on Saturday night looking for a missing woman near Iceland's Eldgjá Canyon, only to find her among the search party. The group was traveling through Iceland on a tour bus, and they stopped near... No, listen to this. This is amazing. They were on a tour bus, and they stopped near a volcanic canyon. Soon there was word that there was a missing passenger. The woman, who had changed outfits, didn't recognize the description of herself and joined in the search. It was called off at 3 a.m. when it became clear the missing woman was in fact accounted for and searching for herself.
No, but please tell me, were they not screaming the woman's name? Was she going, Leigh-Ann?
No. No. They only had a description of her clothes, and she changed outfits, so she didn't click. She was like, "Oh shit, we better look for this woman with a red shirt and the white pants," and they couldn't find her. I mean, it just shows you how some people are really not paying attention, and we've discussed this a number of times. It's like you could walk around and you could be doing things around the house, and you'll suddenly realize there's just some people they will stand in your way. They will. In traffic, they'll be driving really slowly in the fast lane, not really paying attention to anything around them. People go into almost like a daze, and they don't seem to care if the world starts spinning the other way around them. They're just dumb. They just really, for that moment or two, they're as stupid as can be, right?
I would like to, for their sake, think that there's something else involved there. Was she drunk? Was she high on something? She is part of her very own search party.
Yeah, she's just not paying attention. And a lot of people are like that. They really don't know what's going on around them. All right. So today we're going to do the one thing for the week. Leigh-Ann, you don't know about this, but on a Tuesday morning, we do the one thing for the week where you change your behavior for just this week, and if it works for you, you stick to it. And we've done a couple of these. So today we are going to discriminate in a positive way. So discrimination is not necessarily evil, as long as you discriminate in an arbitrary manner, right? Treating people equally is a recipe for permanent boredom, And by the way, equality is completely overrated. Make everyone's life more lively today by obeying these simple rules. Only buy from women aged over 56 years old today. You're not going to buy anything from anyone anyone male or
So,
anyone under the age of 55.
so I'm thinking cake bakes, like
Yeah.
what are they called? Home bake
Home-
stores.
Snijverheden.
Yes, Snijverheden. Yeah. If you need a new crochet doily, today's the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And only do business today with people who are taller than you. All right? You
That's easy for me.
For you, that's easy. For me, that's harder, yeah. And give money today to beggars with brown eyes only. Do not give any beggars with blue or green eyes money. If you give beggars money today, you're going to do that. And one last one. Get away from anyone who's pregnant. Get away from them. Don't go near them. And don't let them near you.
Some husbands are going to take that and run with it.
I know they're going to. Then they'll blame me. Who's that? You, Sia? Is that your alarm?
Me. It's time to take out the rubbish on a Tuesday.
The garbage. I knew it.
Oh, and this one's a good one. Do not just refuse point blank to answer any questions from brunettes today. So we got a couple of things. So today you're going to
make a couple of my meetings awkward.
Positively discriminate today. Do not answer questions from brunettes. Stay away from pregnant women. Only do business with people who are taller than you. Do not buy things from any males or women under the age of 56. All right. And what was the other one that we said?
Brunettes refuse to answer anything.
No, we've done that.
That's all of them. So we got them all.
That was the first. Yeah, you've done them all.
All right, that's enough things for us to deal with today. And if just see if you can do that for one day and positively discriminate. And if anybody asks you, like, why are you being so weird? Say to them, listen, I'm sorry, I'm part of this cult, and on a Tuesday morning we do these stupid things. It's part of my religion.
Can we buy? So if we go to the shop and the teller's young, that's fine, as long as we're buying a product that was made by an older person.
Made by or the shop is owned by someone over 55 years old and female.
So we can buy Omar rusks and Mrs. Ball's chutney.
Yeah, you can stretch it to be, that's gray area, but I'm happy for you to use your imagination here is kind of what I'm saying.
Okay.
All right. We have to get the 5 things you need to know today. So apart from your positive discrimination, you need to know about this. Jacob Zuma has been rethinking the Constitution. Oh, really? You know why? Because he reckons the Constitution, which up to now has been fine. He didn't think while he was president or when he took over from Thabo Mbeki, now we need to change the Constitution. But now he's rethinking it. He says it subverts the will of the people. Does it subvert the will of the people, Mr. President, or does it get in your way when you're trying to avoid jail? Let's just be honest for a second. Oh, hang on, you can't be honest. He's now made no secret of his disdain for the country's judiciary. However, he took his discontent a step further. He had a meeting with the ANC leaders, including President Cyril Ramaphosa, and he said he doesn't know about this Constitution thing. It's revealed in leaked notes on Sunday, released under Zuma's letterhead, of a meeting. So he's leaking ANC meeting stuff. Now, remember when there was a time where he said we shouldn't be leaking internal memos from the ANC? This guy really, if it isn't clear to you at this point that this guy is only interested in himself, then you have not been paying attention. And I hate to break it to you, Carl Niehaus and Ace Magashule and the few people who are still his allies in politics. But if you're a member of the public, if you're a South African citizen and you still think that Jacob Zuma has your interests at heart, then I'm afraid you must have a very, very low IQ. And this, at this point, to need extra information and extra evidence of this is kind of sad. Zuma met with leaders of his party in the aftermath of the Constitutional Court's ruling that he should be jailed for 2 years after he failed to present himself to the State Capture Commission as summoned. Of course, no policeman is brave enough to arrest him. So this is not going to lead to anything. And this shows you how ruined our country is. If we had a police force that had any discipline, order, credibility, they would be finding ways to make this happen, to prove no one is above the law. Let's see if he gets arrested. If he doesn't, then you know that we're not a country of equality. We're not a country where the law applies to me and to you and to everyone else. It applies to some people and not to others. But the former president has said that the Constitution maybe should change. He said these 11 judges have so many powers. He questioned the role of the Constitutional Court, asking how these people can be so important. He told officials that as things stood, the will of the people who elect officials to Parliament was being undermined by the judiciary as its decisions and actions were being arrested through the Constitution. Let's just remember this is a man who was part of the ANC's delegation to CODESA who wrote the Constitution. He didn't raise those worries and concerns then, as far as we can tell. So he is just being a self-serving, venal asshole of the worst kind. And there's no other way to put it anymore. Dubai police have arrested a group in Dubai after doing a nude photo shoot on their balcony.
Oopsie.
Well, I mean, they needed this for their Instagram and their OnlyFans. So, video posted on Saturday shows a group of naked women having their photo taken on a balcony. 11 Ukrainian women were among those who were detained. The Ukrainian consulate told the BBC a Russian was also detained, according to Russian media. Public debauchery is what they call it. It carries a sentence of up to 6 months in prison and a 5,000 dirham fine. Oh, yes, very serious. Many of the UAE's laws are based on Sharia law, and people have been jailed in the past for public displays of affection and homosexual relationships. Roughly a dozen women were pictured on the balcony in the Marina district of Dubai. The Ukrainian consulate says it will visit the women on... Oh, you bet they'll visit the women. They're going to go check on them. They're going to go and make sure that they're okay, these naked women. They're going to go visit them on Tuesday. And earlier reports in Russian media said that 8 Russian women were arrested, and that's been denied. So now that they're mostly Ukrainians. Isn't that funny?
I wonder what they would say about rural villages in Africa where women walk around topless,
No, it's fine in Africa, but don't go to Dubai and try that. You'll be arrested. Just be very careful. And remember, in 2017, a British woman was sentenced to 1 year in prison for having consensual sex with a man that she wasn't married to. Nobody saw it. It wasn't public indecency, but she turned out to be having sex with someone who was not her husband. And they arrested her for a year. They put her in prison. The relationship came to light when the woman reported him to authorities for sending her threatening messages. And then they said, okay, well, we'll go and look into this, but why was he sending you threatening messages? And she said, oh, well, we were having sex. And they went, what?
I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
They clapped her in irons. Yeah. So listen, wasn't
there story as well about a couple who I think were holidaying there. They were unmarried, and the lady had to go in for a checkup or something because she was pregnant. And that was almost a story. The fact that authorities understood that they were conceived out of wedlock, living in sin.
Yeah, this will get you arrested in some places. We have lots of listeners in Dubai and in the UAE. You've got to be careful, man. If you're not married to the woman you're sleeping with, you could get locked in jail. They don't fuck around in that country. They really don't. Ethiopian Airlines has had a pilot who landed the wrong airport in Zambia. Apparently, a cargo plane, thankfully not passenger plane, but a cargo plane flying into Zambia accidentally landed at an airport that is still under construction.
Talk about a bumpy ride.
They hit the tarmac on Sunday at the uncompleted airport in Zambia's northern Copperbelt province, which is currently served by the Simon Mwanasa International Airport. That's around 15 kilometers away. So they're really close together. The Transport Ministry's permanent secretary said the pilot landed at the wrong airport. When he was about to land, he was communicating with radar, and they told him, "We can't see you." So he used his sight and had no control and landed at the airport still under construction. No damage resulted. Investigators will issue a comprehensive report on the incident. The pilot later flew the plane to its proper destination, and Ethiopian Airlines was not immediately available for comment. But that's pretty embarrassing. I mean, it is only 15 kilometers from up there is not a very big distance.
Yeah, it's not much. But also, he must have looked down and thought, where are all the other planes?
Oh, yeah. Well,
looks a bit quiet today.
So it turns out the what do they call it? The runway was complete, but the buildings were not. So it's an easy mistake to make. And it sounds like these two are so close together that this one that they're building might take over from the other one. Sort of like what happened in Durban, where we had an old airport in Amanzim, and then we built a new one up on the north coast. So maybe that's what's been going on, but they were really close together. It's still embarrassing
I haven't thought
stuff.
about that one in a while. I wonder what happens there.
Apparently, they use it as a storage facility for fuel, and they have cars, like cars that are for sale. It's like a car warehouse, essentially.
Oh.
I haven't been past that airport in ages, and I remember used to love that airport. It was so easy in and out. And I've got to say, still, the King Shaka airport's an absolute pleasure compared to Cape Town. Worst. You have to go through that big parking, and you have to walk for miles to get anywhere in the new Cape Town airport. It's definitely the least user-friendly airport in South Africa, and we don't need to say more than that. I know people in Cape Town go, "Oh, it's great, we love our airport." It's really not. It's shit.
Well, anyway. Cape Town airport still just is odd to me for having the loos in one of their lounges, the airport lounges, that faces the tarmac and is like just from floor to ceiling, complete glass. Yeah. No, it has confused me since the beginning of my time. Let me not say the beginning of time. Who thought that was a great idea? Why they thought it was a great idea?
I love that loo. It's called loo with a view or something.
Yes, that's right.
Why?
Yeah, I like that.
That one's in the slow lounge. That's really fantastic. Sia can't handle it. Well, Sia, then don't use the loo. Or you can go and use the one in the building. Yeah, right. In Nigeria, more than 1,800 inmates have escaped after heavily armed men attacked a prison in southwest Nigeria using explosives. The attackers blasted their way into the Owerri prison in Imo State, engaging guards in a gun battle. And apparently the National Corrections Authority said that in a statement. I can confirm that the Imo State Command of the Nigerian Correctional Service was attacked by an unknown gunman and his friends. Imo State Corrections spokesperson said, adding, the number of escaped inmates was yet to be confirmed. They blew up and opened up a prison for the prisoners to escape. So there we go.
Sure.
They're not going to find all of those people. They are absolutely not going to.
But imagine you're a prisoner and you don't know what's going on, and you get blown up instead of freed.
Oh, shame.
Yeah.
Imagine the sight, though, seeing this from afar. A horde of people, 1,800 plus people just running.
Yeah. All prisoners.
All dressed the same, yeah.
And imagine if you're in your cell, and your cell's the one that they break into, and you don't know what the hell's going on. You're like, oh,
well,
Jesus,
you won't ask any questions. You're just seeing a cab to run. Imagine out of 1,800 people, you are the one who was left behind. So they've blown up, and you can see everyone in the D block escaping, and you're like, damn it, couldn't I have been there as well?
Yeah.
I'd be so annoyed.
By the way, we do still use our 0797482090 if you want to message us on there. Or you can message us directly on YouTube, whichever you prefer. Dr. Robbins says, a challenge for me, staying away from pregnant women.
All right. Yeah, don't think she can stay away from work for the rest of the week.
No, she can't stay away. She's an obstetrician and gynecologist, so she has to deal with pregnant women all the time. Sorry, Dr. Robin, if you can get that right, I'll be impressed. the last story in the news, Harvey Weinstein, he's still alive. He filed a long-expected appeal on his rape and sexual assault convictions on Monday, kickstarting an attempt to have his 23-year prison sentence quashed. I don't know why it's taken so long, but lawyers for Weinstein found guilty last year. It's only been a year that he's been guilty of this landmark verdict, the Me Too movement. Apparently, he said in a court filing that the Pulp Fiction producer was denied a fair trial, his lawyer. They argue that several women who had accused Weinstein, but whose allegations were not included in the charges, should not have been allowed to testify as so-called prior bad acts witnesses. The American criminal justice system was designed to convict defendants based on their conduct, not on their general character, the attorneys wrote. Well, if they really judged him on his general character, the guy'd never get out of jail. So apparently this is what they're going to do now. They're going to argue that the impartiality of the jury was compromised by a juror who had written a book about older men preying on younger women. The film producer's defense team had tried unsuccessfully to have her dismissed ahead of the trial, but now they're going to go down some other avenues. I suppose he's still got quite a lot of money, so, the way he sees it, like, let's use up as much of that money to get me out of jail as possible. I mean, you'd do the same if you were him.
And I'm not surprised. I think they're just putting up a fight for the sake of putting up a fight.
He's such a gross guy, though. I mean, like, every time I see pictures of Harvey Weinstein, I'm like, ugh. He just give you the creeps.
Is Pulp Fiction the one with, I think you said Sharon Stone, where she does them?
No, I think that's Basic Instinct.
No,
okay.
that's Basic Instinct.
It's Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta,
Uma Thurman?
Harvey Keitel.
Uma Thurman, yeah.
Okay.
Such a good movie. Oh, it's great. Quentin Tarantino. Oh, it's his movie. Such a good movie. I still love that. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Yeah.
That reference is lost on me.
No, you got to watch the movie again, Sia. You obviously.
Oh no, then you have to. Yeah.
Very embarrassing. All right. Funniest thing happened while I was away. We've got a family WhatsApp group, like everybody has, I suppose. And my mom posted a picture of this bird that landed on her bed. She drove in. Yeah. Look at this. You're not going to believe this. And I'd love to know from people who are, people who believe in the symbolism of things, who think that everything has got some universal meaning. Look at this quickly. This is the bird. It's a sparrowhawk.
Just sitting on
Oh, wow.
It's like a juvenile bird of prey, and it landed on my mother's bed, and it had a dove in its talons, and then it dropped the dove outside, and it flew in through the gate.
Oh my God.
Which is pretty extraordinary. I mean, I told you just a week and a half ago, we had like a some kind of honey buzzard or whatever it is, which is also a bird of prey on the road out of our estate. And I thought all these birds of prey are like suddenly coming into my life. I wonder what this means.
Gareth,
Very
you
strange.
need to go and consult a sangoma about this.
I do. I need to talk to my. I need to talk to my Rosie, and I need to twassa. This might
sounds
be
very dangerous.
Maybe these are signs that I need to become a sangoma.
I've said it before, you and the sneezing, so I wouldn't put it past you. It's
my sister-in-law's domestic worker is becoming a sangoma.
Wow,
okay,
that's quite a process.
Yeah, and my sister-in-law is so excited. She's like, "Oh, I can't wait for Connie to become a sangoma. Then she can also protect us." I'm like, "Okay." She's going to be like going around the house looking for like bad muti and that kind of thing, getting rid of all the bad energy, because she will, and she'll be burning shit and little.
Oh my Lord!
Throwing. It's going to be hilarious. I'm going to go and visit there often just so I have stories for the show.
see what she's up to now. It's only now as an adult and also comparing your childhood to others that you realize some things were really and truly odd. For us, it was quite common with our helper who really believes in a lot of like omens and signs and things.
Yeah.
She's still to this day freaked out about bats or over bats. Just she doesn't want to see bats. That's just not her thing. And then owls to her are a complete bad sign. So especially if an owl will be around on our property, on the roof, she just feels like, oh yeah, here we go, someone's about to die. So often we would be woken up in the middle of the night. She goes, there's an owl. We now need to pray. It's like, sorry, ma'am, it's like midnight. She goes, no, it's time to pray.
I actually, when I was growing up as well, there was a thing about owls. Like it was coming to watch over you for your last few days or something like that.
Yeah, no. The owls have a pretty bad reputation in some cultures, and people don't all like them. You know, they and as a result, they sometimes kill them, which is obviously very sad. But to see all these birds of prey,
the thing was just needed to rest.
Well, it seemed like it was quite young and it was a little disorientated, but eventually it flew out through one of the windows. Everybody was relieved about that. But it's quite something to find a bird like that on your bed. I mean, you don't see them that often. You know, when you do see them, you see them at a distance. They don't come close to people like pigeons and doves do.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. Jeez.
Andre has a story here which I thought about. He says, have you heard of the Limpopo pastor who performs miracles by sitting on his parishioners' faces while the Holy Spirit rides his flatulence? He wears leggings. Now, I saw this story. For some reason, I thought this was an April Fool's story, but is it true, Leigh-Ann? You seem to know quite a lot about the farting pastor.
I only know from what was passed on to me via WhatsApp. I mean, I haven't researched it. But yes, there were. I'm sure you saw it as well, where there are actually pictures of him squatting onto his, congregants' faces. I don't know if it's an April.
Yeah, you have to be really deprived of the presence of the Holy Spirit to let someone sit on your face. Sit on your face and fart in your... Remember my song that we used to sing in the mornings?
Yes, I do.
Sit on my face and tell me that you love me. I'll sit on your face and then I'll love be truly. Life can be fine if we both 69. If you sit on your faces in all sorts of places and then till we're blown away. But this is revolting because he'd fart in their faces as well. It's not... It wasn't sick. He'd just fart all over them.
It's a Limpopo pastor. That's what I remember.
Found some details about it.
All the crackhead, nutcase, lunatic, crazy pastors come from Limpopo. All of them.
So this is happening in Guyana, in Limpopo. And his name is...
where Mum Jane is from? Jane Malachi?
She's from Zanin.
It's right near there, I'm telling you.
Oh,
Jane probably knows. This guy's probably like a family friend of Jane's. If we ask her about him, I bet you she'll know who he is.
So he calls himself, this is first name and surname, Christ Penelope.
Oh, that's right.
He is
Penelope.
Well, Christ
Penelope.
Christ is funny, but Christ Penelope, that's great. What a name.
Penelope.
He is the founder. He is the founder of the Sevenfold Holy Spirit Ministries.
Yeah.
And he claims that these farts help his organ heal. That through this process, all spiritual and physical problems are cured. The pastor has addressed the controversy and spoke to Drum magazine about his unconventional healing methods, saying that it is a demonstration of God's power. He further claims that in order to provide these people who are in need of a miracle with the healing they need, he is only following a divine example that involves putting them into a deep sleep. Okay. So his direct words are, he says, it started with Master Jesus when he stepped on Peter. It is the demonstration of God's power, just like God made Adam go into a deep sleep. It is a similar thing. God did anything with the body of Adam while he was on the ground in deep sleep. He was not feeling anything. Okay.
So these people are probably, because you fake things when you're in church and you're pretending to be hit by the power of God. So they obviously have to pretend that they passed out completely. But I'd be heaving in my fake sleep.
Oh my God, can you imagine how awful?
What is it called when someone farts underneath a blanket?
Dutch oven.
I'm just thinking about that. Have you've been in that situation? Maybe it's you or someone has farted near you, and already just that lifting up the blankets, like, it's a lot. Now imagine someone directly fart. Oh no.
It's so great. So it's just awesome that we live in a world where people like this can make money and they can convince other people this is great.
Christ, Penelope.
But also, how many farts do you have to have on board to get through a sermon,
Yeah, how does he get ready for the sermon?
Our super fan and friend Fundo says you should wonder what he eats before his services. It could get really ugly. That's absolutely right. Oy. What if he's got the runs? You're taking
my Lord.
There's a chance it can go horribly wrong. Telling you.
I am giving what is called sevenfold ministries. Sevenfold Holy Spirit ministries a pass. Thank you very much.
Christ Penelope. I like Penelope much more than Penelope. And I mean, he also has to have
the audacity to call himself Christ.
Yeah, but he has to have one in the chamber. This is what you can't just fart on command. You have to have one. So what if he has to service, in inverted commas, like 10 people in a row and he runs out of farts?
Yeah, I mean, for that alone, I think he should be praised. That's quite a talent, really. Christ, Penelope.
Eleutheria says you could get pink eye if you get a wet fart in the face. Oh, you could get a lot worse than that. I promise you. You can get some serious health issues as a result of that. You got to be careful, man.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Oh,
it's only a matter of time before he shots on someone. Honestly.
No, but who goes to this church? Like, who is so bereft of spiritual guidance and spiritual kindness and spiritual care that they go to this guy? This is the guy? I mean, what are the others too far away? Where do you go?
How do you break that news to the congregation that is what you're going to be doing?
Well, this might seem a little unorthodox, but
you have to admire his confidence. He's like, well, these people are all so gullible and so stupid. They're just going to go with whatever I propose, even if it's farting. Maybe it's a bet that he took with another pastor. He's like, my congregation's way stupider than yours. Another one went, nah, they're not. No, mine are pretty stupid. He goes, all right, look, I'll make a deal with you. I will tell my people in my congregation, I'll tell them I'm going to fart in their faces. And if they all agree that that's the new blessing, you have to give me 10,000 Rand. And the other pastor's like, sure, deal. No problem. Go for it. Let's see how stupid your congregation are. Then he goes off and does this. And meanwhile, the joke's on everyone else because we're taking it seriously. And he's scoring like a nice bet off his friend.
I mean, it is going up a level because it went from eating grass and people believed that it tasted delicious, like macaroni pasta.
That's right.
And then spraying doom directly into your face.
Which
and
is
then farting in your face.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I'm torn between, you know what? Clearly some people are beyond silly, so go ahead and do this. And also going, it is such a shame to think that there are people who are truly so desperate for deliverance, blessings, light in their life, that they'll let someone do this. What are you going through to let someone do this? Shucks.
People, I'm going to sound like a Gen Z here, but people are going through the most in the last couple of months. And they will be prepared to take whatever magic men and women say they can. And, if you think there's a miracle hidden in that fart, then you'll do it, dude. Mpihleng says we've got to send Jane Malachi to go and investigate for us and test the methods. She needs healing on the side of learning on how to calm down. And that's true. By the way, we've got a new insult from Jane Malachi this week, which you're going to love. It's for Sia. She does not go back. Sia's turn to be abused by Jane. And Leigh-Ann, this is also something you usually miss out on because you're on Monday.
I know. I bore witness last Tuesday.
She's horrible. I mean, Jane is just absolutely merciless. So we may get to that in the next hour. Stick around.
I don't know how I should be looking forward to this.
No, you are. I can tell you are because you haven't heard it yet. I've got it ready to go. So yeah, it's going to upset you, but it's going to be worth every second. That's coming up next. So lots of stuff to get to still. CliffCentral.com. It is a Tuesday morning. It's the 6th of April. It's 7 o'clock.
Do you grunt when getting out of the car? Creak when getting out of bed? Do you walk into a room and forget why? Are you having trouble in the sack? Is the hump in a slump? Join me, Chris Avon-Smith, and Dr. Mark on the T-Health Show every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. where we talk to medical and allied professionals about those serious and not so serious medical lifestyle issues. The T-Health Show, sponsored by the T-Clinic. The T-Health Show is available on podcasts. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
Just because it's about technology, connecting your business to the rest of the world doesn't mean you need to send rockets to space and use complicated solutions. Want to simplicate things? Well, join Jaco Voigt, who is the CEO of Catalytic, on the Unbundled podcast. With skin in the game and a keen focus on educating and assisting you and your business, Jaco decodes all the aspects of connectivity, security, and cloud solutions. Unbundled is brought to you by Catalytic and is available on cliffcentral.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
After the year you've had, we know all you want is a great economic quarter. Ijabuphilo ka knife and fork with a Nando's quarter chicken and any single side for only 49 Rand. Nando's. Fire it up.
All right, cliffcentral.com on a Tuesday. Good morning. Sia's here, Leigh-Ann Moll's here, and we are ready to take you through your day. It's going to be a 4-day week, which is always nice. Nobody's complaining about that. We got one more 4-day week before the end of this month. And yeah, April is definitely starting to feel like April. I mean, it's chilly. It's not the kind of weather that you would just walk around in the T-shirt that you've been in for the last 3 or 4 months. It's definitely changed. And, there's that different light. It's like everything looks a little bit different in autumn to the way that it looks in the middle of summer. And obviously that's because the sun isn't directly above you in autumn anymore. but it's got like a dappled sort of light. It's not the same, and the sun isn't as hot as it seemed to be just a couple of days ago. So you got to get used to that. Lots of things to get to this morning. I saw with a great deal of sadness that old DMX, one of my favorite rappers, he's dying. There was a story in the news over the weekend about how DMX is in a grave condition in hospital from TMZ. DMX, the guy who did Party Up and what were his other songs?
That's
all good.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's the guy. He kind of barked at you. He was a great rapper, though. I mean, he's still alive, but he's in a very poor condition at the moment. So I'm very sad to hear that because I like the dude. But you know what? He took a lot of drugs, DMX. Took a lot of drugs, and he was involved in a lot of violence, and I don't think he's the healthiest human being that's ever lived. So it seems to come for you quicker when you're a rapper. It's not easy to be a rapper.
He's one of those people who means different things to different generations. To you, then you know him as the artist and in his heyday. Yes, I do know that, of course, he's made music, but I know DMX as the guy with close to 10 children.
Yes.
And it should easily be like 6 or 7 baby mamas, so which means he was really going around differently.
Even if he was healthy, that stuff will send you to the ICU in a hurry. If there's no way you'll live forever if you have 10 children with about 6 baby mamas. That's going to kill you. DMX is actually dying because he wants to.
That's what I know. Yeah.
To get out all that responsibility.
I know him for the scandal, for the arrests, for getting onto stage late, for getting onto stage drunk, I also saw his child once. This is actually sad. It was one of those moments I don't even think should have been on TV. His child actually wrote into one of those self-help TV shows and was asking for a better relationship with his father, DMX. And DMX went on there as well and just could not care at all. Couldn't give a single damn. So that's what I know as a messy, messy person.
Well, some of those kids have been not all of the kids have been flown in to say goodbye to him. He's been rushed to hospital. He collapsed at home. He remains in ICU in critical condition. He's been a warrior his entire life, according to some of his kids. They don't mention which ones. The situation represents yet another road he must conquer. They appreciate the overwhelming outpouring of heartfelt love from people like me, not mean people like Sia, who are only talking about the tragedies. You know, Sia. He suffered a drug overdose on Friday night and is currently in hospital. Sources close to the rapper tell TMZ that the OD occurred at his home at around 11 p.m. and it triggered a heart attack. And they're told that he has some brain activity, although sources say that he's in a vegetative state and doctors have cautioned he might not make it. Just because I love my shed blood. I want to hear is right here,
we're right here. We ain't going anywhere. What?
My favorite in It's All Good, he goes, this is the greatest line, he goes, and her mouth is like the trash on the Thursday. You know she'd be giving up her ass on the first day. Great.
So this is according to a website called distractify.com. According to them, DMX
sounds very credible.
Children. Yes.
One day I want to be a journalist at distractify.com.
Distractify.com, yes. So
how many?
15.
Yo.
They say here that he was originally married to Teresha and they had 4 children together. And then following that, he's just gone on and on and on and on and on. So he has 11 out of marriage. Mm-hmm. I'm just looking at some children's names here. There's a Praise Mary Ella.
That's her name? Praise Mary?
Yeah.
You think that someone who raps so hard about doing up to ass would know that is the way to not have children, but clearly he does the other side as well with great aplomb.
These are 3 separate names fit into one. Praise Mary Ella Simmons, that's their surname. There's a Xavier Simmons. There's a Sean Simmons. Okay, that's fine. There's a Tacoma Simmons.
Tacoma, yeah. His name is Earl. So if you heard the name Leigh-Ann, Earl Simmons called and left you a voice note, you'd be like, oh, fantastic. Tell him I'll call him right back. Must be the chairman of the board of an electrical company or something. Earl Simmons. Meanwhile, oh, Leigh-Ann, bitch, call me back.
Very dignified.
What a life.
It's all good. It's all right. All day and all night. Call my bitches, because where I go, all my bitches east to the west coast, all my bitches, yo. Chickens is good for plucking, so I'm sticking pictures, fucking give them dick and they be sucking. You know how it goes. It's great. It's really family.
No.
Oh my gosh, that's a 14 siblings. What are you doing with that?
My favorite album from him is Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. And it's got a picture of him on the cover, like covered in blood.
Oh my
great.
Gosh.
Oh yeah, no. Listen, I was a serious fan. See, I'm not making this up.
I don't wish him ill, really. I think speedy recovery if it's meant to be. But if he were to pass away, I definitely think we're going to see more kids and more women creeping out of the woodwork. Sure.
Well, especially if there's any money left in the estate. There was a time where DMX had no money. He had to go and start rapping again or whatever, and he was down and out. But I think those albums are paying off in the long run, And of course, I'm the biggest fan in South Africa, so I've helped sell at least a few albums in this country.
Yes, you've been heavily promoting him for years.
Most people, I have, Leigh-Ann, you can stand up for me on this one. So
yes.
Most people who know DMX only know Party Up. The song, how does it go again? Dun, 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 dun. I can hear it now. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here. Y'all gonna make me go all out. That one, right? That's the song. So most people know that one, but I got deep into the catalog of DMX music, and I'm definitely more of a fan of him. I'm way more of a fan of his than I am of Eminem or Snoop Dogg or any of those guys. So
maybe you're in his will.
Jesus, I think it would be good if he left me, like, even if he just left me a signed T-shirt, I'd be happy with it at this point, because the guy owes me. I don't think anybody else knows
all
those
of
songs.
The hard work you put in.
I've been working hard. See, I used to listen to them so much. I know the goddamn lyrics. I mean, I should get something for that.
Yeah.
Now
what a mess.
You and I have a disagreement, Sia, about something while we're talking about music. We have a major disagreement about a certain show called The Masked Singer. And The Masked Singer, Nick Cannon is the host, right? I think he's still hosting it. Masked Singer, what they do is they bring out a real artist, someone who's actually had success, and they put them in a mask so you don't know who they are.
Well, it's not a mask; it's a full costume.
It's an outfit, yeah. It's a whole.
They're amazing outfits, really amazing outfits.
You can't see who they are, and then there's like a panel of judges. And how does it work? See, like the judges have to guess who it is.
Yes,
that's part of the confusion for me, because I haven't gotten into it, and I tried to get into it.
Oh no, okay. Well, then I'll tell you, because I've watched like full seasons of it.
Yeah,
but okay. Firstly, it's very American, so it's not something. It's very hard to watch because it's quite a lot of it is like very fake with the judges and everything.
Yeah.
But the actual production and what goes on, it needs to. I mean, this whole thing takes months to film, and it's a slow elimination process. But yeah, there's some interesting singers that they uncover. some of them are very localized Americans, so we may not know them. But they have like YouTube stars and all of that who end up being under these masks.
But also some very big names.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the show that I watched a while ago, and I thought, I must make an effort to watch this again. And I haven't, just because it hasn't come on again, and I don't watch a lot of TV. But I enjoyed the show I watched. It was like 2 shows back to back, and the one they had T-Pain, and that was quite cool.
Uh-huh.
And then after T-Pain, it was Dionne Warwick, who I've always liked. I mean, talk about I really do like a diverse range of stuff.
Yes, you do.
DMX, Dionne Warwick, and she's great because she was wearing this mouse outfit, and you wouldn't have guessed it was her, but I recognized her voice straight away. I know it's stupid. They dress them up, and it's kind of embarrassing because, any real artist worth their salt, even if lockdown has happened and they haven't got anywhere to perform, it's got to be embarrassing to dress up in some like leprechaun outfit and go out there with your whole head obscured, and then you sing through this ridiculous costume, and people have to guess. For weeks. People have to guess who you are. And listen, I admire anybody who's prepared to do something embarrassing and humiliating to be on TV, because otherwise, what would we have to watch? But I didn't find it's not a terrible show. I mean, they still sing songs, and some of them have good voices, and they actually perform nicely. It's not bad.
I've never done MDMA, but I suspect this is what it feels like to have done MDMA. When you're watching that show, you would think, what am I processing? What am I seeing right now? It's people in these ridiculous costumes. I don't even know how a Dionne Warwick, I think it was it Gladys Knight or was it Patti LaBelle who was on there? I don't know why they even agree to be on there, just for their legacy and their perception. You must pay me a shitload to do something this ridiculous.
Oh, I love it so much.
There's just, it's the set and how people take this seriously. But here's the particular scene that got to me this weekend, where I've now washed my hands. I'm not giving this show another chance. I have the clip here. This is after, it's their latest season. Now, Nick Cannon, I think, had COVID, and so he was off as the host. Niecy Nash was his replacement host for a few weeks. And they are revealing who the voice underneath the costume is. I'm not going to ruin it, just in case you've watched it or you're going to watch it.
Let me see if I can guess. All right, go ahead.
Here's well, it's not the performance itself; it's the reveal of who this person is.
All right, let's see the reveal. So here we go.
What? It's nobody.
Who is it? What's going on?
Who is it?
I'm really confused.
Is there a body inside there? Ah! There's something in there!
What's going on?
What? What? Kermit the Frog! It is Kermit the Frog!
Come on! The first thing I thought of was
I literally said it out loud. I go, it sounds like Kermit the Frog.
All right. First of all, there's a lot of like, oh my God, it's Kermit the Frog. Oh, it's almost like a children's show. I get that, and it irritates you, Sia, because you don't like that kind of thing. Who is that? Is that Asian-looking dude? He's the one from The Hangover, right?
Yes. Ken Jeong, I think it is.
Oh well, whatever. And then who's the chick with the blonde hair? It looks like Katy Perry.
No. It's McCarthy.
She's married to
Jenny McCarthy.
Jenny McCarthy. Yeah. You see, these are real. The judges are D-grade celebrities. I mean, that shows you, because those two haven't had work since The Hangover 5 and Playboy magazine. So those two, they don't have a whole lot going on. So who's the other judge? Apparently, Caitlyn Jenner is in the latest season, and she's awful.
Yeah, and they have guest judges as well.
Yeah.
The other judge
in that clip was Robin Thicke,
Yes,
and
right.
Nicole Scherzinger from the Pussycat Dolls.
Okay, so Robin Thicke, who was accused of stealing Marvin Gaye's songs in order to make his own crap songs,
And cheating on his wife, I think.
and cheating on his wife, and yeah, well, at least he gave
Not
us
that
that,
it matters, but anyway.
that music
Throw
video,
that
that
in the mix.
really hot supermodel in it. For that, I forgive him. And then who's the other one you said?
Nicole
Pussycat Dolls.
Scherzinger from
Nicole
the Pussycat
Scherzinger,
Dolls.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't she married to old Lewis Hamilton for a while?
No, they
Yes.
dated.
Oh, they dated,
Oh,
yeah, and then the Pussycat Dolls. I mean, they haven't put out a song since like the early 2000s, right?
No,
Oh,
but I
they-
mean,
they
she went
released something last
solo
year.
anyway.
They should make those. They should make those judges sing. That will be hilarious. Because I don't know if any of them.
Hello. Are we missing the fact that there's a freaking man in a puppet in a massive snail costume on primetime television, and they introduce him as what they called it? An A-list amphibian. Stupid.
It's entertainment. Seriously, I mean, you know, for example, Duds agrees with you, but then he says, "What a load of shit! Holy ass fart on my face and call me stinky." Okay, well, you know, calm it down, Duds. Bihlang says the judges on the show are the worst. You can see they know who those people are, but then they go pretending like they have no idea. That Dr. Ken or whatever his name is annoying as F. Yeah.
Look, I will
Even
praise
the audience
them
is annoying.
All right, but see, you said to me the other day when I brought up that Ellen DeGeneres has this game show which is really childish and pathetic, and you know that Americans like that kind of slapstick, dumb humor. So how can you like the Ellen game show but you don't like this one?
I don't know. I just think you're losing brain cells watching this. I really, really, really think this is super silly. I will praise them on a great production. Look, it's done by people who have a shitload of money who throw it at them. Wendy Williams was on a season, I think a season back or something, and she explained it on her talk show just how much goes into it. So even the crew genuinely doesn't know who these people are because that would ruin the whole thing. Yeah, even when these artists go in backstage, they're in separate, it's not even rooms, like as in change rooms. They're in separate tents on a lot with their own security to hide their identity.
Yeah.
Wendy Williams, who does a 5-day-a-week talk show, well, they film on 4 days. They would leave New York on a Thursday night, and she'd be flown on a private jet to LA where this is shot. The people on her talk show didn't even know that she was missing over weekends to film this. So yeah, it's really done well, but I can't stand it. But I think I'm in the minority because the show now has a spin-off. I forget the name, but the premise of this new spin-off is Can I Sing? So people walk onto a stage. There's a panel of judges who, based on how these people look, vote on whether they're great singers or not. And then the big plot of the show is these people sing, and then it's, are they talented or not? Stupid.
You know, that's the way you just described it. It reminds me of something that it sounds really familiar. It sounds like something I've done once in my life before. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Unreal. Do you guys know what?
I'll stick to the Kardashians. Thank you very much.
Do you know what Zoom Escaper is? Zoom Escaper? You ever heard of that?
No.
What is that?
Zoom Escaper is an app, a program, an app that adds fake effects to your audio stream, making your presence on a video call unbearable to others, giving you an excuse to leave the call.
Come on.
So
In what way?
Listen to this. So it includes a bad connection sound that makes it sound like you're breaking up, an upset baby, or a man weeping. And then what will happen is if you really need to get out of the Zoom call, like let's say you need to go to the loo or you're just really bored or you've got another appointment, then you play the sound on this app and then it makes it sound like you're breaking up, and then people go, oh, well, okay, we'll be losing Leigh-Ann. Leigh-Ann, I think we'll send you the video after this.
Yeah.
And you can catch up after because we can't concentrate with that baby crying in the background. Now imagine how funny it is as someone who doesn't have a baby suddenly has like a baby crying in the background. How odd that would be.
Yeah, I mean, if it came from one of our houses, we'd be very confused.
Yeah, there's a lot of explaining to do there.
But you can get this thing. It's called Zoom Escaper. And I just think it's so clever that there are people who are working on ways to, to subvert the use of these video conferencing apps. I think it's really clever.
People are so dodgy.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's creative. I don't think it's dodgy. I think it's genius. How often have you been on a meeting and you just couldn't wait to get out of it? It's happened to me often. In the last year, are you kidding? All the time.
Yeah, but work is work. Just do your work. Now you're going to fake having your connection dip, and then what? Next thing it's going to look like your background is on fire, so you're going to put out a come on. Where's this going to stop?
Not all of us have the ability to concentrate that like you do. I've always had ADHD ever since I was, able to comprehend the things around me. And for me to have an excuse is just fantastic. I can't wait to get off. If I'm on one of those video conferencing apps, if I'm doing a meeting and it goes on for longer than 20 minutes, anything distracts me. Birds flying around outside will distract me. The pen on my desk will distract me. Everything. It's crazy. You can't keep me busy for longer than 20 minutes. I start becoming a problem.
I've had to have quite a few neighbor meetings, community type meetings on Zoom.
Yeah.
And the amount of people who've actually never used it before, or they're using it on their phone and walking around with it, or they haven't muted themselves, so you hear all the background noise, all the kids screaming, or while they're cooking, they talk over each other, and it's just so annoying. I've before we have a meeting, I'm that person who sends a message saying, "Please mute your mics if you're not speaking."
Yeah,
it's so painful.
Like you've taken over as the chairman of the board. A friend of mine told me over the weekend that he has become the chairman of his, what would you call it? It's a
community forum.
No, like a complex. It's a complex of
body corporate.
Body corporate. That's it. He's the chairman of that. And I said to him, "Why would you do that?" And he's like, "Well, first of all, I want to look after my property. I bought this place in the complex, and the last group who were running this body corporate, they didn't do a good job. So I said, that's fine. Surely you don't need to run it yourself." He's like, no. The other reason is that these meetings used to take too long. Now, with him as the chairman, he says they finished in 40 minutes. They used to go up to 4 hours.
Oh, no.
So he's just decided for efficiency that he'd rather run it. And now, there's some woman in unit number 13 or whatever. "I would like to say something as an owner." And he goes, no. We asked you for your submissions a month ago. We said, if you want to be included in the agenda, you need to send us your submission now. You didn't. So I'm terribly sorry, Mrs. Whatever you are, number 13. I'm cutting you off the call. So he runs things like it runs like a well-oiled machine under him. And that's great. If you have a moderator who can control everything and keep it tight and really efficient, I think that's fantastic. But I would never peg him for being like a chairman of the board.
My brother did a similar thing. He bought inside of a complex, and he became part of the body corporate, and then he became like the chairperson or whatever. And he didn't like the fact that the complex hadn't been painted in years. It was also a color he didn't like. He didn't like the fact that there wasn't good signage, that the actual name of the complex was like in this old font. So he changed everything. He brought in landscapers, he planted plants, had the whole complex painted in the color he liked, and then he left.
But doesn't this show you? I mean, this is a great example of if you get the right person in the right job, everything gets better. And it shows you how many useless people there are in the world who just can't get anything done, and they just take up space. And you don't need to consult with everybody. I mean, most people have nothing valuable to add. They just want to be heard. It's all about them. Pay attention to me. But they can't do anything. Like your brother, obviously, he got all these things done like this. I think that's so great. And most people be like, oh, they why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Why don't you do it? The reason you're sitting here saying, why don't we, is because you actually can't do shit on your own. It's ridiculous.
I don't know why I'm just thinking about those 4-hour-long meetings. And the only thing I'm considering is the fact that that is the perfect time for the killer to strike.
Yeah.
If the killer knows you guys are all in one unit for that meeting every month, the robber can come in.
You guys should
or
know
the killer can hide in your cupboard while you're out.
You should know if there's a killer in the complex. You're not paying attention otherwise.
You never know.
So I want to tell you about something. We're all talking about what we're going through in, the year of COVID and all that stuff, and it's now been just over a year. But what is it like to be on the ground and working to reduce the impact of COVID-19, especially in places where there isn't a lot of assistance? Now, there's someone called Molly Bernstein and another person called Sita Cacioppe, and they know this very well. They're from something called IsraAID, which is an international non-governmental humanitarian aid organization. They're based in Israel, and one of their massive tasks is a vaccine program in our neighbor country, Eswatini, right? I'm going to find out from them. We've got Molly and we've got Sita here. Hey, Molly. Hey, Sita. How are you guys?
Good morning.
Hi, fine, thank you.
Great. Good to see you both. Sita, I hope I got your surname right. Cacioppe, right?
It is. I'm actually from Australia, so I kind of pronounce it with the Australian accent, but it's very close, so no problem.
How do you do it in an Australian accent? Go on.
Cacioppe.
Cassioppe's good. So, Molly, thanks very much for joining us, guys. First of all, tell us about IsraAID. It's ISRA and then AID. You guys are obviously one of these great organizations that does all this incredible work, and nobody ever hears about you until they're involved. And the whole of Eswatini basically owe you guys some thanks for starting their vaccine program. It probably wouldn't have any vaccinations in Swaziland, Eswatini, if it wasn't for you guys. How did this all begin, Molly?
So the Ministry of Health in Eswatini approached us in collaboration with the Kirsch Foundation and invited us to come take a look and see how we can support with their vaccine rollout. They are receiving vaccines through other sources, but basically the rollout, as we all have experienced in our various countries, is very complex. And we have a lot of experience in this aspect from the successful story here in Israel. So we were invited to come work with the Ministry of Health and help provide any support that we can, any input that we can to help make sure that it's really successful and gets to all the right spots.
I think this is so great because we know that during COVID-19, the disease claimed the lives of several of their leaders, including the Prime Minister, actually, Ambrose Dlamini, who was unfortunately, he succumbed to COVID-19 too. Got the highest COVID-19 death rates in Africa, highest HIV prevalence in the world. So this country needs all the help it can get. And the fact that you guys are involved is just terrific. Now, I don't think a lot of people know about this, and that's not why you do it, obviously. But when it comes to trying to roll out a massive program like this, Sita, what does that involve? I mean, what kind of logistics are at play here?
It's huge. I mean, it's massive. We're looking at different types of vaccines coming in that require different types of cold chain maintenance. And especially with the deep freeze ones, we're looking at cryopreserve, and we're looking at getting them out to communities in time so that they're not wasted. On top of that, we don't know which vaccines are coming in at which time. And so we also need to prepare the teams, train the teams if possible, and to support them, particularly with the cold chain. The logistics around that is enormous. And we also need to consider the fact that, there's a limited number of vaccines coming. And so we don't want to waste any. So it's that fine balance between making sure people are coming for the vaccines, they're aware of the vaccines and where they're going to be on the day, as well as not, and then getting them, but not wasting any doses at the same time. So there's a very fine balance between both of those aspects.
How is that rollout going at the moment? It's a lot of people that you have to reach in sometimes very far flung corners of the country, and Eswatini does not have a great road system in certain parts of the country. It's very hard to get to these villages and so on. How's the rollout actually looking at the moment?
So at the moment, they are vaccinating. They're calling it phase 1. Phase 1 is going really well. They're about to complete the vaccinations of their frontline workers, as well as moving into their over 60s with comorbidities. So it is happening, and they're doing a fantastic job of it. Our plan is to get there as quickly as we can, and to support the next phase of that rollout. And we're identify key areas where we can sort of specialize and bring in our specialties to support that, which includes data collection, again, like I said, the cold chain side of things, as well as really closely monitoring the micro planning of it.
I think one thing to add and remember there is also that exactly what you just explained in terms of the country's history with HIV and the past experience it has in dealing with crisis is actually a huge asset in this situation, because the local system already has a lot of capacity to reach out to these very rural situations and make sure people get tested for HIV and get on antiviral treatments. And that's a lot of the way that we approach this work, and that we really see Eswatini is that actually there's a lot of potential to be really successful because they've already overcome so much. So many challenges, and that means that we can really sort of look at those past successes, and in the same breath as that they have the highest HIV prevalence in the world, they've also been incredibly successful in terms of both stymieing the spread of it, but also in terms of ensuring that over 90% of people are on treatments and are regularly seeking therapies, and that really. There's a lot that can be actually leveraged and sort of used towards this goal as well, when we look at that wider picture of everything that's happening in this public health situation.
Yeah. It's like you've got the pipeline already organized. It's really incredible. So let's just talk for a second about IsraAID, and you guys also focus on the mental health and the resilience of the country's frontline workers, which is, I suppose, a very important part of this too, because some of those people may be exhausted. They may have been working nonstop to try and do whatever they could to deliver vaccines and care to people who are already suffering. So obviously, IsraAID is very involved in basically saving Eswatini from this disease, because otherwise they would have had very little to help them combat it. But you're not only involved there, you're involved in 16 countries just with respect to the coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah, so we've been responding all over the world over the last year. We try to be wherever we can and provide any support that we can. So we're across the region in Africa. We're in South Sudan. We're in Uganda. We're in Kenya. We're in Mozambique. And in all of these locations and in all of our other missions around the world, it's about sort of figuring out, again, which systems can be leveraged, right? What already exists and how can that be a boost in responding? And then also sort of adding these plugins that provide additional support. So for example, in Mozambique, a huge successful program that we've been doing over the last year is exactly in this mental health and psychosocial support sector, is getting on radio shows, is leveraging the media and the way that the infrastructure that already exists in terms of how people communicate with one another to provide mental health and stress relief messaging and activities that can be done at home with children to make sure that that's also being addressed. And that's sort of the approach that we're trying to replicate and adapt in all of our different contexts, is to really see what the gaps are, see what can be leveraged, and run with it.
And Sita, I believe you're actually a nurse originally. That's what you studied nursing, and that's what you did for a while. So you've spent a lot of time in the medical world, and obviously your main emphasis now and your main work is involved in the healthcare sector. So this must be quite rewarding work for you. How big is IsraAID, Molly? Can you give us some idea of kind of where you guys come from? What the reason is that IsraAID might be involved in places as bizarre as South Sudan, Mozambique, these are not, you wouldn't think of this. And, Israel gets a really hard rap from a lot of places all over the world. And there are lots of people who are not particularly kind towards Israel for various reasons. They don't like their internal policies or their foreign policies or whatever. But here's Israel doing more than any of those countries that governments like South Africa say nice things about. Where does it come from? What started IsraAID, and what, it's since 2001 or something?
Yeah, so we've been around since 2001. We have missions all over the world. We have some 400 staff all over the globe, and most of our teams in every given location are made up of locals who've been working with us as, in some kind of role, whether it's as a trained professional or as a community worker who does, sort of outreach pieces. And since 2001, we've been using these different models, many of which are sort of rooted in a very Israeli approach to how we see the world, right? Israel, we have a water problem. We don't have enough water in the country, and we've had, because of that, we have amazing water technologies to manage and increase sort of water access. So those are things that we can bring to other people. In that same respect, we're a country with a lot of trauma, with a lot of sort of difficult experiences. All across, the whole swath of the population faces different challenges depending on their experience. And because of that, we have a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder treatments. A lot of sort of the cutting edge of that work is happening in Israel. So again, great. Like, that's something we can share. That's something we can bring to other locations. And that's sort of what we do in all these places.
No, I think it's really...
Sorry,
incredible.
I was just going to say as well, just to add the global health and public health side of that into it as well. I mean, COVID's changed the face of public health. It really has. And I think over the last 12, 18 months, we've seen that more and more. And it's trying to pivot our activities in the health sector to make sure that people still have access to healthcare where they can. And even if that's remotely, we need to do what we can for them to access it.
Yeah, I think that's really important. But I think the whole idea of IsraAID coming to help out in places like Eswatini, right next door to us, is just incredible. I believe, Molly, that you've spent quite a lot of time all over the world. You actually speak Persian and Arabic as well. So you're by no means just some localized Israeli. You've seen a lot of the world. Have you, either of you, been to Eswatini? Do you know much about the country firsthand, or are you dealing with people there every day who tell you about things?
Yeah, so we just got back. We came back for the Passover holiday, and we had an election in Israel. So we wanted to get back to vote and to be with our families for the first holiday out of lockdown. So that was very exciting. And now we're heading back. So that's sort of the plan. We just popped back to Israel for that quick return, and we'll be back on the ground very, very soon.
And Israel's such a success story when it comes to COVID. I mean, things are pretty much back to normal there, right?
Yeah. It's not far off. And I think that is one thing that we've got, is just how fast, how quickly, and how accurately the vaccine rollout was. And so we're trying to leverage as much as we can on that experience. We're bringing in specialists that have worked within the vaccine campaign here to Eswatini to support the Ministry of Health, to support other actors, international and local, working on the ground, and to bring all of that experience to them if we can.
Well,
I think
keep doing.
We feel super, super lucky and to have been where we were during this crisis, and to be really among the first communities to be vaccinated and back to normal life. And we really we want everyone to have that opportunity. We want everyone to get that, to get sort of the rush of relief that comes with the first and the second jab, if the second one happens for you, depending on which type of vaccine you get. And just a couple weeks ago, when we were standing with the Minister of Health herself in Eswatini after she got her first jab, that's exactly what we were talking about. She called it an injection of hope, right, which was quite poetic. Yeah. But it's really an emotional moment, and we want everyone to get that emotional moment. We want everyone to have access to vaccines and access to information, access to public health, and that's what this is all about.
Well, I'm going to say it again. Keep doing the really great work that you're doing. And thank God that there are organizations like yours that are going around the world and helping out in places where we really need all the help we can get. I almost wish IsraAID was in charge of distributing vaccines in South Africa. We might all be vaccinated by now. It sounds like you're the most efficient people to get that done. So keep doing it. Thank you so much, Molly. Thank you so much, Sita. Good to see you both.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
And you. Very, very good. There's Molly Bernstein and Sita Cacioppe, she says. She's the head of health and medical sector at IsraAID, and Molly's the development and communications manager. And here we are in the southern tip of Africa. And, next time someone says, oh, Israel, X, Y, and Z, and I'm a massive supporter of Israel, so I don't have to disguise that. But next time somebody says something about Israel and they say, oh, South Africa and Israel, and they give you some long, drawn out, extremely complex reason for why they hate Israel, just remind them that it's thanks to Israel that the people of Eswatini will be vaccinated at some point. They may even be vaccinated before all of us get ours. So
my.
Mm-hmm.
That injection of hope sounds mighty, mighty good right about now.
Well, the funny thing was, like, over the weekend, I was in Umhlanga and I was walking around. I had a mask.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't put it on for much of the time because I was far enough away from people. And I had conversations with people about what the right etiquette is, because some people, they look at you funny when you don't wear it. Some people look at you funny when you do. So I kind of carry it around because I think it's all a big show when we go into restaurants and things, and you take them off when you sit down anyway. So I just hold mine out to my face when I walk through the door of the restaurant. Then when I sit down, I just put it in my pocket. But more or less, I would say 80 to 90% of people just have stopped giving a shit about it anyway in that part of the world. I don't know that that's true everywhere. And I did pop into a shop on my way back home yesterday just to get some basic stuff from it's like a garage shop. And I walked in, I didn't have my mask, and, they didn't make a fuss and I didn't make a fuss, and I didn't go near anybody. So if there was someone around and they were nervous, I wouldn't have breathed on them or coughed near them or any of that stuff. But I think that most people have just sort of moved on by now, and they really don't care as much anymore. And there are still obviously people who are very, very worried. And then there are those people who don't give a shit at all. And I think somewhere in between is where we should be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Well, I'm
seeing,
ready for.
Even though
I'm ready.
Oh, sorry, there's a delay on my side.
Children, put your hands up, and then the teacher will let you talk when you put your hands up. Do not speak unless you've got your hand up. So, Leigh-Ann, you go first.
Go ahead.
It's weird that as time has moved on, we should be so used to wearing a mask. Yet I'm finding more and more people are forgetting, including myself. I'll get to the door of the garage or whatever, and I have to run back to my car because I've forgotten. I think it's because we've dealt with it so well mentally by now that we don't feel like there's this ongoing pandemic around us, and that fear factor has gone.
Yeah, well that's a good thing. So,
but
what did you want to say?
There are all of these gray areas as well, though. While I'm in Durban, I'm thinking of going to the promenade and cycling there. But it's, you're outside and you're cycling, so moving at a quick pace. One would think you don't need to have your mask on, and also you just want to be able to breathe properly with doing an activity like that. But then I'm sure you need to have your mask on. But then I saw quite a ridiculous sight over the weekend of a man with one of those massive, massive beards. So he didn't even have his mask on properly. And I thought you were actually better off going around without your mask on at all. Because when you think about it, your mask hooks onto your chin. And with that massive beard, he can't do that. So he had this sliver of fabric that was just almost like being held on by his lip and a bit of his nose, and that was it. So you do think, what are we still doing this for? And I get it, though. But yeah, the more I see other people in different countries get this vaccine, I now think I am not that important that
well, I
there's
don't
Big
know if
Brother in the sky looking at me going, we are actually going to use Sia to plant a chip in, please. So
I do like the fact that in the UK there were protests over the last couple of days against a vaccine passport because they said, no, that wasn't what you promised us at the beginning. And they basically told Boris's government to get screwed because they were saying, oh no, you're going to need this vaccine passport to travel. And they said, hold on. You said we must get the vaccine in order to, make sure that we immunized the country and people wouldn't have to worry about catching this so we could stop wearing masks and we could travel again. Don't now bring this vaccine passport bullshit into our world. So they stood up to the government, and I think that they've managed to persuade them. I mean, it's like Angela Merkel had to very quickly roll back her plans for a lockdown after the German people took to the streets and said to her, oh, no, this is not what we signed up for. So it does seem to me that people in the world are starting to make their voices heard. Their leaders are not just pushing them around. And even in this country, I don't think it would be possible for Cyril to put us back under a full lockdown because most people wouldn't listen. A lot of people wouldn't listen.
Clearly, it's important to them to protest something like a vaccine passport. But to me, we've done it before. So why is it a big deal now? You've gone to certain countries and then you need to do that yellow fever test and then you have to bring this with. So doesn't seem like that much of a deal to me.
Katu Cat says people are pretty relaxed about masks in the Northern Cape as well. It almost feels normal here. We only wear masks to go to the shops. Me too. But Cat, I mean, there's only like 10 people in the Northern Cape, so I don't know why you don't have to worry. Apparently, listen to this. ShopRite threatened Erica with arrest and threw her out and banned her for life for not wearing a fabric mask. They didn't even look at my doctor's letter. I had a plastic mask on. Yeah, well,
Jeez, that's a bit harsh.
Erica, in that case, don't shop at ShopRite again. They must learn that if they treat their customers like that, and you had a doctor's letter and you had every reason to be able to do what you were doing, they shouldn't be allowed to treat you like that. Don't support them anymore. So that's the way to sort this out. Don't give them any of your money. And Ruth responding saying, Erica, that's hectic, but people need to be educated in this country. It's a huge problem. Well, yes, but really, if the shop treats you like a criminal, treat you like a bad person for not wearing this mask, which we know is, it may help a little bit or it may not help at all. The jury's still out on that. But the fact that they are applying government's rules and becoming the enforcers themselves. And by the way, the same goes the other way around. If you go to a shop and people aren't wearing a mask and it makes you uncomfortable, don't go to that shop again. You don't have to go to the place that you either feel uncomfortable because people aren't wearing a mask, or if they treat you badly because you're not wearing a mask, you just go to another place. You'll find a place that will allow you to do that. So
we're so far away from any of this being sorted or any of this being somewhat normal. Because again, this weekend I was out and at Sandton City doing some shopping. You think Sandton is people are there and they understand what it means to be around people. But there was a gentleman there who clearly was doing this as a massive performative gesture, but he had his mask on over his forehead. And he got, I walked past him as he was having an interaction with two ladies who clearly were confronting him about it. And I just heard him scream and say, actually, you can't arrest me. I'm not doing anything wrong. The regulation says your mask needs to be on your face. It is on my face. And I thought, I actually don't want to be around this. I don't need. I swear it was probably a social media moment. Someone filmed that just for the benefit of a response.
I don't feel like, you know what, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to do things that are going to get me arrested. I don't like the masks. I don't support the idea of masks. I think that they're dumb. But if I'm walking around in public with other people, then it's not my house. I have to follow certain rules. And I'm not going to go to the lengths of getting arrested just because I don't want to wear a mask. I'll just get on with it. I'm not I'm not interested in having a fight with someone. At the same time, if I'm walking around without my mask on, don't come up to me out of the blue as someone who's not involved in my immediate space and tell me that I have to X, Y, and Z, because it's got nothing to do with you. RX Head says, I've just come from Windhoek in Namibia. Nobody wears a mask there. That's interesting. Erica, just to explain why she wasn't wearing a mask, she says she has a disability. She suffers from trigeminal neuralgia, which is known as the suicide disease. I can't tolerate anything against the skin on my face. I'm going to say I have that, Erica. Why don't I get a doctor?
You need to remember that very long phrase.
I don't care. I'll remember it. Trigeminal neuralgia.
I think it's trigeminal.
I don't know. If someone who's a doctor can tell us how to pronounce that, that would be helpful.
Oh,
I don't know. But I like
chronic pain condition affecting the trigeminal nerve in the face, and this nerve carries sensation from the face to the brain. It's most common in women aged over 50.
Oh, Erica, are you aged over 50?
Yeah, like, we'll tolerate your disease, but we won't tolerate you if you're over 50.
Danlin says out of the blue, he says, hey, have you heard about the new alien evidence that just came up? No, but I'm fascinated by this stuff. I've been bombarded. This one friend of mine, I think I told you about him last year already. He's one of the smartest people I know. And he is so into this alien stuff. You have no idea. Like he's deep into it, right? And he sends me these articles about, newly declassified files from the Pentagon, and it's really cool. So I'm watching it from a distance. I'm not about to jump in with the alien people and say, oh, there's flying saucers running around. But I do think that there's stuff going on that we're not entirely aware of. And there's probably stuff that governments have been hiding from us. And there's probably stuff that humans wouldn't be able to deal with, even if we all found out at the same time. So I'm watching it from a distance. I'm not jumping in with both feet yet, but I'll let you know how that goes. So you pronounce it trigeminal.
I think it's trigeminal.
Whatever. Apparently. I mean, that's what I just heard from the doctor anyway.
It's
all right.
sometimes described as the most excruciating pain known to humanity. Aina.
Well, I'm sorry for those people who really have it, but I'm going to be pretending I have it from now on.
Just this intense stabbing electric shock-like pain.
I can feel it now. You see, I can't. I just can't wear a mask. I'm going to get a doctor's note right now. I know some doctors who write me a note about this. Lenice says, I walk into our local grocery store in Belgium, forgot to put my mask on. No one said anything. Halfway through the shop, I realized and quickly put it on, but no one said anything. I walked right past the security. Yes. Yes. Good. Lenice, good. We'll get to the point eventually where people stop giving a shit. Because also, I do think that the fear of all of this is dissipating slowly but surely. I got a couple of messages on DMX here, and you know what a fan I am, and I have to refer to the fact that I'm not the only one. Elson, who is also a fan, says, DMX is such a legend. He also started every album with a prayer. Yeah, that's him. That's the guy. DMX, the rapper who's dying in
It started off with a prayer, and then he would talk about all his hoes across the country from east to west.
That's right. That's right. That's the balance, the beauty of DMX. You get the best of both worlds. Are we reading Leigh-Ann, her voice marriage proposal from last week? Yeah, that's interesting. Isn't it great that Gareth got rid of his anger issues, especially when things didn't work before the COVID situation hit? I love you guys. Well, thanks for that. I don't know that I've gotten rid of all the anger issues, but I will try. So, Leigh-Ann, there was someone who sent us an email the other day to say that they'd fallen in love with your voice, and he's just plucking up the courage to propose to you just on the basis of your voice. He says you don't even have to have sex, you don't even have to live in the same house, but he does want to hear your voice every day.
Oh.
They are from Zimbabwe. I don't know if that will... Are you in for long distance right now?
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Well, aren't we all doing long distance anyway, even if the person lives in your suburb?
Right. So it wouldn't be that difficult.
It can work. It can work.
All right. And I mean, listen, Leigh-Ann, you're still on the shelf, right? You're still there. You're still on the market,
on the shelf.
No, she's on the shelf. She's there. She's available for purchase in terms, and not for actual purchase for those Arab gentlemen.
Not like Labola or Labola.
Yeah. So if there might be someone from Saudi Arabia who's like, "Oh, I want to buy her. I will buy her. Here's 15 camels." No, I'm not talking like that. I'm saying that if the right guy came along, you might consider marriage a second time.
Phew, that's heavy. But yes, I can't say no or never again or it'll never happen because life changes.
Let's imagine a 95-year-old man with 400 million rand in the bank. I mean, that would be worth considering.
Yes, that would be a good option.
Absolutely.
if he said to you on his ventilator, Leigh-Ann, I just want to motorboat you every day just for half an hour, and then you can have half my money.
Yeah, that's a done deal.
It's a good deal.
Done deal. Yeah.
And that's even some sort of giving back or community service. You can get some sort of a tax break for doing that. Come on.
Yeah. Eric is back again with the, neuralgia thing. She says, what horrified me is that ShopRite didn't care. They were more concerned about... Yes, that's the one. They were more concerned about adhering to the regulations and not the human. They banned me. I think that's horrible. I really do. I think that's absolutely horrible. Not a good story for them. So you've got to be careful. It's like the, when we went into that very hard lockdown last year, and like the homeowners association here, or the estate manager or whatever his name was, he was like, no, we've got to enforce this rule strictly. So I was like, oh, you're working for the government now, are you? Because that's the way I see it. It's like, what you're really doing is you're saying, okay, I work for Becky Trele. I'm gonna make sure we enforce the dumb rules that he puts in place, like about wearing, not wearing open shoes or not buying Woolworths warm chicken. Remember those dumb rules, and everybody took them seriously.
How far we've come.
I know, but don't think for a second that we've got better people in charge now, because we've got the same people in charge. Don't forget. They're still there. They've just realized that they made stupid decisions then and affected their credibility, but don't think they won't make dumb decisions again. All right, everybody, we're out of time. It's 8:00 already. This morning's gone so quickly. Sure. And we've only got 3 days left of this week, so make sure you get all your work done in 3 days, all right?
And thoughts and prayers to Earl DMX Simmons.
Yeah. What a guy. I hope he makes it through. And
it's Friday, a public holiday again.
No, but yesterday wasn't yesterday. It was Monday. Yeah.
So that means 4 days.
Yes, but we've got 3 left after today.
Oh, okay.
Let's not get into maths at this hour of the day, please.
I agree. The last thing you need is for all of us to start doing maths at 8:00 in the morning.
No.
All right, everybody, have a happy day. We will see you tomorrow.